Hello, and welcome to the TerraLex Insights podcast, where our goal is to present multicultural perspectives by leading professionals. These perspectives on contemporary issues will help lawyers and business people work better together. I'm your host, TerraLex's CEO, Terri Pepper. And today we're talking to Christel Feaste, who is Deputy Managing Partner at Higgs & Johnson, TerraLex's member firm in the Bahamas. Christel was recently honored as being among a very elite group of trailblazers, women trailblazers, during International Women's Month through the TerraLex network. And we're highlighting some of our trailblazers on this podcast so that others can see what a dynamic group of women we have in TerraLex. And by way of introduction, let me just share some of the reasons that Christel was selected and nominated as a trailblazer. Christel is a distinguished commercial lawyer with over 25 years in her career, and she's significantly helped to shape the legal and financial services landscape of the Bahamas. As the Deputy Managing Partner at Higgs & Johnson and chair of the firm's financial services, securities, investment funds, and fintech practice groups, she stands as one of the nation's leading authorities on complex cross-border transactions, financial regulatory matters, and innovative legal structuring. We're going to hear from Christel in just a minute, but I can tell you that she's led or co-led some of the largest mergers, acquisitions, and financing transactions in the country, including landmark integrations involving major global financial institutions. She also has achieved many top rankings, which reflects the excellence that she brings to the industry. And she's got a long-standing commitment to community service as well, all things that we'll explore in just a moment. So, Christel, welcome to the podcast. We're happy to have you here, and congratulations on being named a TerraLex Trailblazer.
Thank you so much, Terri, for having me, and welcome. Thank you, too.
Great. So let's just dig right in and talk a little bit about your longstanding commitment in the Bahamas to the financial services industry and beyond, including your leadership. I know of several practice groups in your firm, and most recently, and it is very recent, so congratulations, being named Deputy Managing Partner, along with one of TerraLex's member representatives, who is also named Deputy Managing Partner along with you. So I think the two of you will be a dynamic duo to impact the firm.
Indeed. Indeed.
Tell us a little bit, just go back a little bit and tell us a little bit about your origin story, so to speak, and how you some of the things that you've been involved in your career, that particularly some of these landmark cases that we've heard about.
So thank you again, Terri, and to TerraLex, and thank you for that distinguished award with such an exceptional cadre of other female professionals representing law firms across the globe in the TerraLex network. It's truly an honor. So I would say that I'm not sure I intentionally focused on financial services. Actually, at the beginning of my career, after I graduated from the London School of Economics, I decided to focus on banking and finance law at the master's level at the LSE. And so that was my first sort of foray into securities transactions, engaging with banking experts in the space, not only academics, but practitioners at that level, really sparked my interest in the space. And on returning to Higgs & Johnson as a young associate in 1999, I was immersed, what was called back then the Banking and Finance Practice Group, under the tutelage of Dr. Earl Cash, who's recently been honored as a trust practitioner, well known in the Bahamas, and Surinder Deal as well, who served in TerraLex very well for many years. So both of those two individuals, and Peter Higgs as well, also in TerraLex, the three of them really took me under their wing. And between them, my practice was focused on general commercial, but particularly banking and finance. It was only after a year in the Bahamas, when the securities legislation was very new, that again, as part of the TerraLex network, I believe I was one of the pioneers in actually leveraging the benefit of TerraLex, because I went to Lang Mishner in Toronto, now Macmillan's, on what was like an internship program. You have a fancy name for it now.
The PPP, our People Placement Program, but that's
exactly.
PPR.
Exactly. So in early 2000, I think it was, I went to Lang Mishner again to focus on securities law. Fast forward, and again, Surinder, Earl, Peter had me totally immersed in the transactional work, fast-paced, lots of pressure. And that became my love. When I returned to the Bahamas, I focused primarily on those types of transactions, particularly in the financial services and security space, and loved devising solutions for business. That's really my passion, finding solutions for business people in a general commercial setting. And I knew that dispute resolution was not my area. After 7 years at Higgs and Johnson, I decided to take a break from private practice and went in-house and served as vice president of legal in a family office. Again, totally immersed in a global setting, but again, legal solutions for business, finding solutions, troubleshooting in that type of area. And then returning to the practice in 2009, focused on what I love, passion, pressure as well, I guess, assisting clients and developing solutions for business, but focusing primarily on the financial services space.
I cannot tell you how much I love the fact that you did a secondment at a TerraLex member firm before we ever had the PPP program. I know several people within the network that are just going to be so happy to hear that. So we may come back to you or use a clip from this to in our treasure trove of PPP stories, as we call them, the people placement program. So that, first of all, is fantastic. And you mentioning the three mentors, they're all three people that I have such tremendous respect for. So great that no wonder you're a trailblazer now.
Can I just add something else on the
Sure,
PPP? I mean,
please.
for anyone who's considering it, even that though that is 26 years ago now, the benefit of that, particularly someone who's engaging in that program, it was the first time the Bahamas was regulating the security space, and it was modeled on the Canadian legislation. And I was able to be totally immersed in a partner firm, sitting in an office, doing real work, but really to really sharpen my focus. And so that is a great benefit of actually engaging in that and strengthening and leveraging the opportunities that TerraLex brings.
That's just fantastic. So thank you for that endorsement. Really fantastic and timely.
Indeed.
Yeah. When I was going through some of the background, I noticed that you had a role in the legislative process for the Bahamas Gaming Act of 2014. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as part of my career, I have also focused on community development, and really driving the industry forward has been one of my passions. So I've traveled extensively promoting the Bahamas, Bahamian products as a jurisdiction very early on, again, encouraged by primarily by Surinder, Earl Kiash, and Heather Thompson, who really encouraged me to focus on that element of the work. It's not just the work that we do for clients, but more broadly reinforcing the obligation that we have as lawyers to drive the industry forward and to influence policy outcomes. So I've been involved in several legislative drafting projects. The Gaming Act of 2014 is one of them. I was also a part of the team at the Bahamas Financial Services Board that drafted the ICON legislation investment condominiums, which was for the Brazilian market. I more recently served as part of the project team that was responsible for drafting the securities legislation of 2024, the Investment Funds Act of 2019 and 2020. And I see that for any specialist or thought leader as a really critical part of our work, because we're the ones who are focused, immersed in the area. We see the gaps from a legislative perspective. And if we have the opportunity to influence outcomes, to influence policy directions, and it's certainly something that I've found to be beneficial, and I see it more broadly as part of my commitment to the Bahamas, to nation building.
Absolutely amazing. So yes, it does sound like you've been involved in nation building in the Bahamas. So from the perspective within the firm and even in your community involvement, I assume that you also are probably mentoring other women, and is there a role for other women to continue to play in the financial services aspect of the profession?
I think so. I think mentoring has been so critical in my career. I've been mentored at every level of my career. I think for women, the first mentor that we have is really our parents and our grandparents. So they're the first mentors, even when they're young women or young kids, that we don't really call them mentors, we call them mom, but that's where it starts. And in my professional life, I've been very fortunate to have some careers who were my mentors from all of the years, from student to associate, through all of the leadership levels in Higgs and Johnson, that have really been there for me and have driven me and encouraged me. And it's really about creating opportunities and making a space for young professionals Surinder immersed me very early on in a big M&A transaction for two commercial banks. I remember, and I worked on it for 4 years. And that was an opportunity to make a space where I was the only associate at that time working with her, having been provided with that opportunity. And that opened so many doors for me. So I see mentorship as a critical opportunity to have someone who's prepared to invest in your professional development. And as I said, Surinder is one of those who really I'm so thankful for all of the opportunities that she's provided for me. I'm also really honored that in the 78 years of operation, I am only the second woman to serve in this role. Surinder was our very first managing partner before she transitioned to consultancy, and now as a deputy managing partner. So again, I see the benefit of mentorship and so on. And I also see on the reverse side, Terri, the benefit of reverse mentoring. I have worked with some very talented young people over the years who have reverse mentored me. So it's my pleasure to work with them, alongside them, to really help them to shape their career, focus on their career. Many of them have gone on to be very successful professionals, and working together really is a collaborative effort, because you spend so much time together working in a setting with young people who are committed, focused, and shaping, helping, and guide their professional lives. Even sometimes when they tell you they decide this is not something they want to do, just helping them to think through that and support them. So I see it as a benefit both ways of having the opportunity to be mentored myself, and then paying it forward, mentoring other young people. And I encourage them to mentor me as well.
I think that's great. And we've actually, through our Next Gen Advisory Committee and our focus on the next generation, we've been hearing about reverse mentoring quite a bit. So beyond the firm, I know that you're also involved in your community. Maybe tell us a little bit about some of the activities there and how you've combined your community involvement with your profession.
I think that um, being a successful professionals, there's a lot of pressure, particularly in this industry and in this space, which is transactional. It's global transactional, to focus at a stage in your life on the development of your career. And that is fine, because success takes a lot of hard work, a lot of focus. But first and foremost, we are people. We have families, and we are individuals. So we have to find our individual passion, and we're all living in a community and part of an ecosystem. And it's equally as important for us to develop and contribute to that ecosystem. And so for me, I've always been involved in some community activity of some sort. So we talk about legislative drafting projects. So outside of the firm and in parallel with my work here at Higgs and Johnson, I've always been involved in a community project that is a passion to me, or some corporate social project that the firm has been doing. In my case, I sit on a number of boards outside of Higgs and Johnson. They are actually nonprofit organizations. And so in one case, I currently serve as president of the Nassau chapter of Links Incorporated. And that is an organization that is based here in the United States, here in the Bahamas, and in the United Kingdom, with over 18,000 women. And our mandate is simply to transform our communities through service. And in the Bahamas, 35 women, for over 30 years, we have operated a safe house for women in crisis, with or without children. And more recently, we have renovated a new dormitory for young women pursuing tertiary education here in the Bahamas, because you have to travel in the Bahamas if you're based in another island for tertiary education. So those are two projects where I have the opportunity, with like-minded women, community-driven women, to actually impact people's lives in a very tangible way, to impact our communities with something that is perpetual. We have built something together as a chapter, and we will see that move forward. We've also worked with a number of causes. Susan G. Komen, Race for the Cure, which you have in the United States. We work with Children's Home and a number of other civic causes here in the Bahamas, raising awareness of chronic illnesses that affect women, cancer, chronic illnesses, and so on, that affect our community. So very excited to be involved with that, making time for that. Incredibly important, as I see it, paying it forward. More broadly, I also sit on the board of, and I'm chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility Council. And we are an independent council formed by statute, where our job is essentially to review budget reports, other reports, to assess the extent to which in the budget reports, mid-year, midterm reports that are produced by central government, they actually comply with certain fiscal targets that are established in statute. Again, it's very important. I have the opportunity to work with many professionals, bankers, economists, engage with international rating agencies in a way, again, contributes to nation building, really engaged in my community in a way that I think is essential to any professional. We're not only employees or part of a professional work organization, but doing things that we're passionate about, that we love, that and contributing to the development of our community.
Much respect, because you're singing a tune that I very much take to heart, and that's just fantastic to hear what you do. Now, you do all of this, co-deputy managing partner, a huge practice group leader, all your community involvement, and you're raising 3 children. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
How do you
I
find balance? What advice do you have for women that may be trying to figure out how to do as much contributions as you do to both their firms and their communities and their families?
For me, it is very simple. There is nothing that is more important to me than my family. And that is my center of gravity. That is, the center of my world, my family, my immediate family, my husband, my children. They complete me. That's what helps me to focus every day. So it really is focusing on making time for what's important. Yes, I accept these roles, these hats that we all wear, the capes that
Yeah.
all the women in TerraLex, all the trailblazing women, we all wear it is a big cape, but we take that off before we get to the office. It's finding time to balance and make time for family, because our children need us in very different ways. They're looking to us. So I'm fortunate enough, and have been at Higgs and Johnson, to be able to make where the firm makes the space for me to focus on what I'm doing for my family, as well as what I'm doing here in the firm, and to be elevated in the firm to this role. Everyone understands our families, our team members, making sure that they have time for their families. For me, that is so important. At the beginning of my day, during the day, trying to carve time out to have a quick call with the kids after school, the younger kids, and then in the evening as well, making time for homework, blocking out times. If I could give 2 pieces of advice, just as a mom, and I'm sure you and others who look at this, is just carving out time in the same way that our calendars are full with client commitments, carving out some time that's family time, where you do not take calls, you're not looking at the phone. That is so important
So
to have
difficult, but so
balance. Exactly. Boundaries for ourselves. And that's okay. And to me, I feel that it is okay to indicate, this is my blackout time. It's not really blackout time. This is my family time.
yeah.
My family time that's important, where I don't take calls unless it's exceptional urgency, because your family deserves your time. They deserve you. And so I think that's incredibly important. And then just always treasuring your center of gravity, whatever that is, family, extended family, whoever it is, just keeping that and keeping that close, and having your home base. Your home base is your safe space to go to when you need a break from what we're doing during the day.
Fantastic advice, and I hope people take that to heart. So tell me what's next for you. What are your goals? I mean, it sounds like you just achieved a goal by being named deputy managing partner. What else? What do you have in mind for the future?
I think from a professional perspective, Terry, I've just been recently appointed to the role. I see it as an exceptional opportunity and responsibility. And I'm looking forward to working with our managing partner, Sterling Cook, Stephen Melvin, who is also a deputy managing partner, to really plan, strategize, and move forward, collaborate with my other colleagues here at Higgs and Johnson on strategizing for the future. I'm very honored to be a part of the team that will have a strategic role in driving those outcomes. It's truly a team effort, and I look forward to working together. I look forward to continuing to work together with my other colleagues here at Higgs and Johnson. I think from a professional perspective, it is also to chart my own course, to decide not only to collaborate with colleagues from a Higgs and Johnson perspective, but also to have the opportunity to frame, to make an impact, to be impactful. I think what's really important is not just to have a role, but really to influence outcomes, to influence change in a way that is positive, that's developmental, that's beneficial. So from a professional perspective, I would like to continue to contribute to help forge strategic outcomes from a professional perspective. I enjoy leading the practice groups and securities and financial services. So to driving insofar as I can influence policymakers in terms of driving legislation forward, doing that. Continuing with my community service. And as I said, there's nothing more important to me than my family, my husband and my children. So continuing to guide them and be there for them. And to live up to their expectations, very different from client expectations,
Yes.
but really being there for them and having time for them.
Well, thank you so much. We've been talking to Christel Feaste, who is co-deputy managing partner at Higgs and Johnson and a TerraLex Trailblazer. And as you all have heard, a well-deserved of that honor of being a TerraLex Trailblazer. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today and sharing a little bit about your amazing career and personal life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terri, for having me. Appreciate it.